Thank you, Madam Chair Lady. Good afternoon to you, Minister, and your support staff, and all my colleagues here, and those viewing and listening. Minister, thanks for the answer. I just wanted to make sure then that the cut that we saw in the 50 had nothing to do with additional persons related to the changes in the function book. That's all it was. It didn't sound like it did from the answers, but I also had the answers from the first time that this budget was passed. So that's why I wanted to just make sure, clarify or verify that there was nothing in there that would affect function book changes related to all the work that had to be done for the persons to bring them up to proper standing within the function book. Thank you very much.
Thank you, MP De Wever. I now give the floor to MP Doran. MP Doran, you have the floor.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Good afternoon to the Honorable Minister once again, all my colleagues, and everyone tuned in. Madam Chair, I remember asking a question with regards to tint, but I'm not sure if I heard the answer to it. If not, I can repeat the question. The question was basically along the lines like, gone are the days where people say that tinted vehicles cause crime, etc. Can the ministry look into a way to generate revenue by charging, through you, Madam Chair, by charging persons that want to use tint, whether it's an extra 50 guilders or 100 guilders, whatever is determined after the study is done, in order to generate more revenue for the coffers? And besides that, I would like clarification based on the question that I asked, based on ex-uniform officers being allowed to carry their firearms. My question was along the lines of, is the ministry open to it? The response was a policy would have to be made, but I would like to know, is the ministry open to allowing this? And what are the thoughts in terms of reaching this goal? Thank you for the opportunity, Madam Chair.
Thank you, MP Doran. MP Roosberg, you have the floor.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Blessed day, Secretary General. Blessed day, Minister and support staff, and a blessed to my colleagues and the people of St. Maarten. Thank you for your answers, Minister, to you, Madam Chair. Some of my questions weren't answered, or I haven't heard it, but I will reach to that. In regards to the justice workers, thank you for clarifying that matter and also answering those questions. My questions and clarification is more focused on the crime fund. If I understood correctly, through you, Madam Chair, the Minister mentioned that there is no, based on the law, there should be an annual plan, but there is currently no annual plan, or it's not finalized. So I would like to know how it's possible that there is no policy plan based on the law. It needs to be there, but yet the crime fund has been used in the past and is currently being used without a policy plan. So if that can be clarified. Also, I would like to know, Madam Chair, how is it possible that there is 3.6 million guilders of BZK in the crime fund? Like, how is that possible? I don't understand, Madam Chair. I understood from the Minister that there's 8.2 million guilders currently in the crime fund, but how is it possible that the BZK funding, which is not meant to prevent crime, unless I'm being corrected that it is, that it is currently in the crime fund? Other than that, I understood that the previous projects, one of those was placement in Brasami. I would like to know how that is possible. I believe it wasn't under the current minister, but yeah, unfortunately, I need to ask the current minister how it's possible that placement on the Brasami, that the crime fund was used for that. And what were the other projects that the crime fund was used for? It went a little bit too fast. I didn't get those pointers. Is it correct that 4 million guilders have been spent of the crime fund through you, Madam Chair? And if so, what was that amount spent on? I asked for those projects. I didn't get it, or I didn't hear it, and I would like to get the exact amount. So let's say placement in Brasami, based on what? Was that a crime prevention project? And how much was spent on Brasami? And then the other projects. I also mentioned, or I also asked, through you, Madam Chair, to get the detailed plan of the previous years, or if there isn't a plan, if I can receive based on what those projects are based on, what legal basis those projects were executed. And according to me, Madam Chair, it needs to be placed in a national decree. If I'm wrong, please provide me the detailed information based on what those projects were executed, and to receive a list of those projects. Now to the police vehicles, Madam Chair, I understood that the minister mentioned that it was budgeted for, but unfortunately it's not enough, and that the crime fund will be used for the remaining amount. I would like to know through you, Madam Chair, how much, because I asked that question, but I didn't get the answer, maybe I missed it. How much will it cost to use part of the crime fund for the remaining cars? So how much cars will be purchased through the budget, and how much will be purchased through the crime fund, and for what amount? And after purchasing those cars, what is the remaining amount that will remain in the crime fund after the purchase? Those were my questions for now, Madam Chair.
Thank you, MP Roosburg. I don't see any other member at this time, unless MP Brug is trying to get the floor. Yes, he is. I give the floor to MP Brug.
Good afternoon, Madam Chair Lady. Good afternoon, colleagues. Good afternoon, St. Maarten. Good afternoon, Honorable Minister of Justice and your support staff. Thank you very much for the answers that you provided for my questions. It was very detailed. Just a bit of clarification. With regard to the cuts, was it you as minister that decided for the cuts, or was it was it you as minister yourself directly was instrumental in the cuts, or was it the Minister of Finance or someone else, or a different organization within the ministry? The reason I ask this later on, I want to address the correct person with regard to this, because I think it's very dangerous for the question that I had about who's affected what services and what was listed out pertaining to section heads, immigration, foreign detention center, tactical gears. The personnel is tremendous. I think it's very dangerous when we mess with our national security, and especially with cutting such an important aspect of our budget. So I just would like to know who actually was responsible for it, and just for me to ask exactly what was the thinking behind it as well. With regard to earlier it was stated that one of the things that we are noticing is a rise in crime. My question earlier, in one of the previous meetings, was about the scanner for the containers. Answer given then was that a quotation was asked. I was looking through the budget to see if I saw a quotation or amount for it. I still haven't seen it. Maybe I overlooked it. So perhaps if you can indicate whether or not it's there, or is it something that will be placed in the 2025 budget? This is very important. As stated earlier, crime is on the rise. A lot of our children are finding themselves with weapons, with drugs that they're actually using and what's not. So for me, it's very important that this is added, whether it's in the 24 or the 2025 budget. So I just would like an update on that. To end on a positive note, I have seen an increase of security with regard to, for example, vehicle S walking in the nights in town area. So I would like to compliment you, and also the men on the floor, in the districts, in the community, protecting us. I know they're doing the best that they can, and I appreciate it. On our behalf, we appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you, MP Brug. I now give the floor to MP York. MP York, you have the floor.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Once again, good afternoon to the Minister and his support staff. Minister, maybe I missed it, but I didn't fully hear, I didn't hear at all the answer to my question pertaining to the lab, the forensic lab. And in the event that it was missed or skipped, I'll state it again. What are the plans, what plans does the ministry have for the forensic lab of the police station? So when it comes, as it pertains to the lab itself and the instruments used and investments needed for that moving forward. Will that be taken up in this budget or in the 2025 budget or any budget? Thank you.
Thank you, MP York. MP Roseberg, you have the floor.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just to clarify, I understand that the ministry is in need of funds and that police cars is one of the important subjects to tackle crime. But the reason why I'm asking and I'm so detailed and specific about the crime fund, because I would like to know when it's going to be used for rehabilitation and resocialization of repeat offenders or the ones that can finally find their way in society, because the crime fund was initiated to combat and prevent crimes for the community. So I'm just wondering when we as St. Maarten can also have a few projects ongoing, like Curaçao, for example, with their 18 projects. I'm wondering when we as St. Maarten can have at least 1 or 2 or 3 projects going. So that's the reason why I'm so hard on the crime fund. That's all. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, MP Roseberg. MP Otley, you have the floor.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Good day to the Honorable Minister of Justice, his support staff, the viewing and listening public. Madam Chair, we hear a lot of congratulations for police presence and so forth, but that also comes with a cost. So I too would like to congratulate the Minister, and the reason I ask about your sentiments through you, Madam Chair, to the Honorable Minister, is because I noticed specific cuts, National Detective cuts, different area, National Detective cuts again, police cuts, immigration cuts. So everything within our protection was cut. And then again, as I caution every other minister who speaks of just 2 months, we are approaching Christmas time, where I know back in the day they used to even bring police from Curaçao during Christmas time because it has been customary to see a rise in crime. Because of course around this time everyone wants the nice things and wants to treat their family. So I say to be very cautious, not saying that I condone or promote this, but it is a customary thing. We notice that security needs to be beefed up during Christmas time, and to see these cuts is definitely the reason I asked. I would also like to know a specific question. It's burning. There was a young man extremely ill in the prison. I would like to know the status of that. It'd be remiss of me at this point. He's extremely, extremely ill. And I would like to definitely know the status of that. And it leads me to other things that, how do you go about the release of prisoners that are critical or terminally ill? Who is responsible? Is it you? Is it the prosecutor through you, Madam Chair? And I'll go deeper as to why I asked that later down, but definitely it's a question that I need to ask you.
Thank you, MP Otley.